health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to the Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a wife, a busy mom of 3, and the founder of the cutting edge and award-winning supplement brand, Accelerated Health Products. This podcast is more than just a source of information. It's a community for you and those looking to optimize their health. I release new episodes live every Monday and Tuesday and a bonus one on Thursday. So remember to subscribe and add to your playlist so you never miss a show. And join the free health group coaching on Telegram. There's no downside. The conversation continues after these podcasts. You ask your questions. I post daily. There's no downside. The details can be found on my website, sarabantahealth.com. My goal is to reach everyone who needs me with my message of healing. So if you could help me with that goal, share this podcast and the others with some friends and loved ones. And together we can empower each other on our journey to optimal health. Today, we are talking about a topic that is giving me the chills because God is with us. We have Dr. Tabatha Barber. She has dedicated her life to giving women a voice and a choice when it comes to their health and well-being. Her unwavering commitment to women's health is evident through her triple board certifications, OBGYN, menopause, and functional medicine, through the Gutsy Gynecologist podcast, her Gutsy Gyne supplement line, and her best-selling book, Fast to Faith. She shares insights into importance of gut health, hormonal balance, mindset, and most importantly, nourishing the soul to truly heal and become whole. Welcome, Tabatha. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know, I never worry about podcasts when I know God is present. And there's 2 very like-minded women discussing faith. But we're going to talk about faith and its role in health. And it's huge. And I can tell my own personal story from this week. But first, I want to get into your journey, because it definitely is a God showing you the light of what your true path should be in your darkest hour. And that's happened to me. And, you know, I always tell my children, I say, when it's hurting the most, when it's the darkest, is when God is doing the most deepest miraculous work in you. And whatever is going to come out of it, you're going to shed the light on the rest of the world. So that's why I do have the chills as we're about to embark on this podcast.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You can either get bitter or get better, right? You are going to go through trials and tribulations in your life. That is part of being a human. But it's such an opportunity to really be molded. I think of God as the potter and we're his clay, and he's really trying to mold and shape us into something beautiful and miraculous because he does have a calling on our lives, all of us. We might not know what that is, but you were born for a purpose, and to live into that purpose, you have to learn some things, you have to change, you have to evolve. And so, I was a wild child and I went through a lot, and I did a lot of self-damage, a lot of things that caused me pain and suffering that I didn't needed to do, but I learned a lot of lessons. And, I got pregnant in high school, dropped out after 11th grade, and I was on Medicaid and food stamps, and I was assigned to this grumpy old doctor on the verge of retirement, and he made it clear that he was getting paid 22 cents on the dollar to take care of me. And it was very traumatic because there was no informed consent. Things were done to me, procedures, shots. I was given all sorts of different pills. Nothing was explained, and I didn't use my voice. I was a girl, 16, 17 years old. I was scared, and I trusted him. He had the white coat on. He was the authority, and I just trusted that he knew what was best for my body. And it turns out he didn't. And I still am dealing with lifelong issues from things that he did to me. So during that traumatic delivery, I had a come to Jesus moment. Honestly, I was looking at my daughter after I delivered and was getting sewn up for an hour because he tore me from front to back. And I just vowed to her that she would never go through what I had just went through. It was unnecessary. Like somebody needed to speak up for me and give me a voice and another choice in the matter. And so I didn't know what that looked like, but God was saying, like, you got to get your crap together. You got to go back, get your GED, figure out how to help women. And I didn't know even what the next step was, but I knew that I had to be obedient to that calling because he got me through that terrible situation, right? And so I spent the next 20 years becoming a doctor and doing all the things. Fast forward, I was miserable. I was, so sleep deprived. I couldn't remember my patients' names or the babies I delivered the night before. I was, in so much excruciating back pain. I couldn't walk away from the OR table. And I was living this miserable life. And I thought that's what God wanted for me. I was serving everyone and doing what he told me to do, but, um, I finally realized, like, this is not what he's called me to do. This is the trap that I have fallen into along the way, and so I'm really excited to be able to share with women that just because something looks like it's supposed to be a certain way on the surface doesn't mean that that's the end of the story, because it really wasn't. That was just the beginning for me. Becoming a doctor was just the beginning. I had to go through this whole health journey and find the world of functional medicine and heal myself and leave that conventional medical space and find the truth about our bodies and God's role in them, and that's my purpose. So that was just like a stepping stone, and thinking back, that's crazy to me because I thought that was the end all be all, So we're always evolving, and I just invite you to think like, am I being called for more? Because women get that shift at midlife. I mean, I saw it with you. You went through the same thing. You think your life is going along great and you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, then it's like whammo. Nope. We're
Yep.
going to do this instead.
Exactly. And it's all of these challenges are to strengthen those muscles that God is going to need you to have for the next challenge. My husband said the other day something to the effect of, oh, I just can't wait till this issue is over in my life. I'm like, life is supposed to have these challenges. It's not like we hit 65 in retirement and go on a beach for the rest of our life and there's no problems with grandkids or kids or friends or health or anything. That's not what it's about. It's about getting through these challenges, enjoying the journey, and trusting. And, I've told you my son had leukemia at the age of 9, and I looked into those eyes and I said, I'm not stopping until I heal this boy. And then fast forward to when he was 15, his heart was stopping, and he looked at me. His faith is stronger than anyone. And he goes, Mom, we've done it before. We're going to do it again. And it was that instilled faith that is just second nature to trusting and knowing that you're going to be okay. You don't know the answers, you don't know the outcome, but trust. And I'm now dealing with a child who has a diagnosis. We've seen two not traditional doctors, but natural practitioners. One is a medical doctor, but holistic. And they're telling us the exact opposite of what to do. And so as a mom, I feel very responsible. And what I'm going through right now, this week specifically, is, God, I know you're going to show me the light. I know you're going to show me the right answer. And you're teaching me so much about this topic that I'm going to be able to share and help other women with. But it also brings in this fact of, if I don't trust, then what fills me is stress. What is that stress going to do? It's going to eat away at my body, turn away my hormones, slow down my metabolism, cause a whole bunch of health issues in my own body. And that's not what we're designed for. That's not the goal. So when we talk about faith as an integral part in your health journey, it is the most important part. I mean,
Absolutely.
whether you're a Christian or you're Bruce Lipton, or, your mindset can create disease or heal disease within the body. And I've seen so many amazing examples of that just in my own life, where I just see God winking, telling me this is the direction. Here, I'm just going to tell you this next step. I'm not going to tell you the whole journey. I'm just going to give you a little guidance, but you have to be proactive, right? You have to be active in the journey. You can't just sit back.
Exactly. Exactly. And it really comes down to getting still and making time for God, because we are always, in this like begging prayer mode, like, please, God, get rid of this situation. Please change my partner. Please get rid of this Hashimoto's disease. We're like begging, and we need to start listening, because he is talking to us, and we need to start discerning, like, are we actually contributing to this problem and making it worse, or are we doing what we should be doing? And so that was what I needed to learn the hard way, because conventional medicine was killing me. I got to the point where I had to have back surgery, took 6 weeks off to heal. My third night on call, I re-injured and couldn't move. And I went back to the orthopedic surgeon. He was like, it's no big deal. It's like Lay's potato chips. You can't have just one surgery. And he wanted to put rods and screws in my back at 40 years old. And that's when I did the unthinkable. And I said, time out. Like, I'm taking 4 months off of work. I'm going to physical therapy, and I'm going to figure this out. And that's when I found this whole world of holistic health and functional medicine that, as a physician, I knew nothing about. I promise you, we do not watch daytime TV. We don't read the books that are out. We don't know about this world of wellness. It was a shock to me listening to Amy Myers talk about gut health and the autoimmune connection, and Mark Hyman talking about how your diet can drive disease. Like, I didn't believe it at first, but I was so desperate that I kept looking. And I finally saw the truth. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it, right? So I did the unthinkable, and I left that world. I'm a girl who comes from nothing. I didn't have health insurance growing up. We lived paycheck to paycheck. Here I am, chief of staff with a very nice salary job, a 401k, all the security that you can imagine, that my family's thinking, like, that's unbelievable. How could you even get that? And I gave it all up because I knew it was the right thing to do, because the way I was practicing was not actually helping my patients. I was practicing Band-Aid medicine. They were coming in for their endometriosis surgery every 1 to 2 years. And they were, I was putting them on these medications that was putting them into premature menopause to suspend the endometriosis, and like all of this invasive toxic stuff that was only making things worse. And I couldn't go back to that. I wanted to ask them about their diet and their lifestyle, and how are you like interacting with your spouse, and are you connecting with God and living your purpose, or are you miserable? And because honestly, that is medicine. That is truly medicine. And I only came to understand that because God put me in a bed for 7 days and I couldn't get up. All I could do was talk to him. All I could do was say, why is this happening? What do you want from me? What am I doing, wrong? And it's a slippery slope. God doesn't necessarily punish us and bless us according to our actions, right? But I knew that he was trying to get my attention. I knew that I had gone astray. I just felt it in my soul. And I could hear him saying, like, this is not what I wanted for you. I wanted you to help women and be a change agent. I wanted you to be a disruptor. I wanted you to go out and tell the truth. And you don't know what the truth is. So go find it. And
Mhm.
that was really powerful. And that's when I also found fasting. I had laid there in bed on the fourth day. I thought, man, I don't think I've eaten at all this week. I'm so miserable. And I started to think about my surgical training and how, like, the first year as a surgical resident, the orders I would write, NPO, I would tell the nurse, do not feed my patient. I just did surgery on them. You cannot feed them until I allow it. And it is because we want the body to heal. We don't want all those resources to be going to the gut to digest food. They need to be going to places to heal and regenerate. And I just had this aha. Like, I picked up my Bible and I started reading about fasting, and I was like, oh my gosh, God, you
Mhm.
gave us this superpower to heal and get mental clarity, and, like, everything just kinda came together, and it it's so beautiful how when you lean in and you just take the time to start listening, he really will tell you, "Here's the next step for you. Here's what I actually want you to do," right? It's incredible.
And fasting's not just a part of Christianity, it's a part of every religion for a reason. And it's the same reason that they lay out in the Bible different foods that you're not supposed to eat. It's not just because you're honoring God, it's because it's trying to protect you from disease. So there's all of that in there. So I want to talk about fasting. It's become a bit more controversial now. During the keto craze and the long fasting craze, and now people are going away from keto and questioning, is fasting too stressful, especially for women? So let's talk about some of that. Where do you see fasting is still a good mechanism, a healing tool? Where is it not appropriate? And let's dive into the benefits and then what to be careful with.
Yeah, I love that. So those were all the questions I asked when God really downloaded this to me. Like, you have to teach women how to fast their body and feed their faith. And so I dove into all the research. It was very popular at the time as a fad diet, right? Like, let me quickly lose some weight with fasting. And what kept coming up was women would hit a plateau and stop losing, or they would regain because what they were doing wasn't really sustainable or happy for them. They were miserable. And so I really started to see these patterns of, yes, we have lost our metabolic flexibility. We're all sugar burners. We're eating every couple hours a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of processed foods. And so if you tell a woman to just stop eating for an extended period of time, she's going to be hangry and jittery and irritable and not happy. And so fasting doesn't work for me, right? And they just give up. So I had to address that piece of it. And then the other women who are just doing 16/8 all the time, like, this is my new normal and we're not shaking anything up. Your body has innate intelligence and it will shift to have that be the new set balance. If you are eating in an 8-hour window every day, the same foods every day, your body will say, okay, that's how much we need to maintain and stabilize, and it will stop losing weight. So I went back to, how is our body actually created to function and thrive? I have a bachelor's degree in physiology. That was my major. And I went back to all that hardcore science that I totally forgot about as a surgeon. And what I realized was women do best when they regain their metabolic flexibility so they can go from sugar burning to fat burning mode, when they have diversity in their diet and they're feeding their gut microbiome healthy foods and they're digesting their food properly, when they clean up their foods and eat faith foods instead of franken foods, which I call all the stuff that we make up in the lab. And then we also vary how and when we eat. So it shouldn't always be 16/8 or a standard eating window. We need to do some feast famine cycling or carb cycling because women do need carbohydrates at certain times of the month. And depending on what your goals are, you're going to adjust that accordingly. But what I ended up creating was this progressive fasting program to bring back your metabolic flexibility. Like, let's get you in a little ketosis to remind your body how to burn fat for fuel. And then when you take the food away, it can burn your own fat and stay in that ketosis. And then you can start to do a longer stretch of fasting. And I teach women how to go a dinner to dinner fast, and then you feast the next day, because as soon as you start chronically lowering your calorie intake, that calorie deprivation, your thyroid will say, oh, she's starving us to death. Downregulate that function. We don't want to lose any more weight because we don't think any more food is coming. And so you don't want that as a woman. And you want to tell your ovaries and your thyroid, hey, we're good here. We just had a low day, but we're still healthy. Don't be turning down my metabolism. And so you do that carbohydrate day, and then you go back to your low carbs. And we even do a 3-day water fast in my program because a lot of women want that deeper healing work. And that's when the autophagy comes in, where the cellular repair and restoration work comes in. And I'll tell you, I've had uncontrolled diabetics, a woman in her 70s with a hemoglobin A1C uncontrolled, do this program and regain her life and her health. It's like so rewarding to watch women when they realize how their body's actually functioning and like how to help that as opposed to like hinder it. Like, it's a game changer. There's nothing else. It's amazing.
And I love that you're talking about changing it up, because I was in a place where it was so easy for me to fast all day. It was not, and I almost had to force myself to start eating
Yeah.
earlier. But my metabolism had slowed because it was just going to slow to where my baseline was.
Yes.
Okay, she's giving me this. Okay, that's what I'm going to burn. So then I started incorporating more calories and eating earlier and expanding the window. Guess what happened? My metabolism shot up, and I actually was burning more calories throughout the day. And this is something people call reverse dieting, where you slowly incorporate more calories, because most women have dieted all of their life. They've gotten themselves down to 1,200 or less calories. There's not much more you can eliminate. So if you start to eliminate another 500 calories, you're going to shut your system down and you're still not going to lose weight. And then what do? There's nowhere to go. Whereas if you have a metabolism that can burn 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day, I'm just, speaking average for a woman, then you've got room to cut or fast longer, and you can change it up. So you're keeping your body guessing and moving around and strategically using that healing tool of fasting to reduce the inflammation, cleanse the body, trigger the autophagy. And we have to be careful with where we are in our cycle. So I'd love to hear from you. When do you recommend the longer fast during someone's cycle versus no fasting at all?
Well, there's a couple caveats. So if you're trying to conceive, you're actively trying to get pregnant, you probably don't want to do a longer fast unless you have an uncontrolled condition that you really do want to do some deeper healing. But know that it might affect your cycle for a month or two because you are doing that deeper healing. And so your resources are being diverted to that and not focused on reproduction, because reproduction is a benefit. It's going to be the first thing to go if your body's in survival mode. If your body doesn't think it can heal or get food, it's not going to try to reproduce because it can't take care of another life, right? So reproduction gets put on hold pretty quickly. So if you're not trying to actively procreate that month, you can do that longer fast for deeper healing work. But in general, most people should not be eating outside of an 8-hour window. Like, you shouldn't be eating for 10 or 12 or 14 hours. It's just not healthy. You need to give your pancreas a break. You need to give your gut a break. And so that's really important. And I don't think a lot of women realize that you get more bang for your buck with fats and proteins than you do with carbohydrates. I know for me, I used to eat a bowl of cereal and I wanted another bowl a half an hour later because it doesn't satiate you. It doesn't satisfy you. You don't get nutritionally replenished. And so you're always hungry again, and it burns quicker than the fats and the proteins. So if you start your day off with fats and proteins, you're going to be less hungry and you're going to feel better. And it's going to give you more ATP or energy than the carbohydrates. And I like to just point out to women, because I think what I keep hearing a lot is, oh, I don't eat a lot of sugar. Right? I
Yeah.
don't eat a lot of sugar, but honestly, so much stuff is made of sugar that people don't realize. And sugar has crept into our food industry in a way that we don't realize. So here's a crazy statistic is in the 1800s, the average person ate 2 pounds of sugar per year. So I would eat 2 pounds, you would eat 2 pounds in a whole year. Now we eat 60 pounds per person per year. And
Mhm.
that's not even like the person who's like addicted to sugar and adding it in extra. This is just because it is in all of our breads, our pastas, our baked goods, our anything in the boxes and the bags, the chicken tenders, the French fries, that is all sugar. And then I remember the day I looked at my tuna packet and it had
Mhm.
added sugar. I was like,
Mhm.
"What is happening right now?"
Yeah.
They put it in coconut water. Coconut water is already full of sugar, but
Mhm.
they add it in. And so we can't even blame ourselves because we don't even realize what we're consuming. And so I would encourage women to really just start to read some labels and kind of take a look at what's going on, because honestly, the daily allowance, you're supposed to have like 25 to 30 grams of sugar a day. One pop or soda, wherever part of the country you're from, is like 32 grams. So one pop and you're done for the day. Not to mention your Starbucks and your bagel in your sandwich, and then if you eat healthy, your vegetables and your quinoa and your fruits are all sugar as well. So I think just getting educated on what food actually is composed of and what it's doing to your body can be really helpful. So that was a big part of when I wrote the book, was I just want women to know what's going on in their body, because we don't get that kind of education. We don't even get educated on our periods, but like, understand what's going on in your gut and with your immune system and your thyroid and your adrenals and how all the food impacts all of this. And that was really what God laid on my heart, was like, teach these women all the functional medicine you've learned and how faith is woven into that, and how you really can honor your body and honor God through loving yourself back to health, as opposed to like trying to hate it and fight against it like most of us do. We try to like beat ourselves into submission, right?
Yeah. So I have so much that I want to respond to because, first of all, the cereal. I remember being an athlete in high school. Saturday mornings were the hardest practice. I would come home because I just burned a ton of calories. I said I could eat as much as I wanted. I'd have at least 4 to 5 bowls of Frosted
Mm.
Flakes. But it was like I was still hungry even after that fifth bowl because there was nothing. My body's saying, okay, I'm not getting any nutrients. Keep feeding me. And if I had had eggs or even like a breakfast steak of some sort, I would have been stuffed after one. You don't binge on those healthy foods. Number two is the sugar from 30 years ago is not the sugar from as today. The sugar we're getting today, yes, it's a ton more, but it's also coupled with artificial sweeteners, heavy metals, toxins, all of the stuff that our liver is just saying, I give up. I can't do this anymore. So it's even exponentially more impactful in a negative way on our body, causing hormonal issues, thyroid issues, hair falling out, that unexplained weight gain. So even if it's 100-calorie snack pack, but it's got a ton of artificial sweeteners, that 100 calories is a lot more than 100 calories in what it's doing in your body. You can gain weight from just that, gain inflammation, gain disease from just that. And then, oh gosh, I now lost my train of thought in the last thing that you were saying. But it's, the mindset. Then us women say, well, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating healthy. I'm eating the snack pack that's only 100 calories. I hate my body. I can't lose weight. My hair's falling out. I'm so ugly every time I look in the mirror. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to have this self-fulfilling prophecy. You're not going to be able to lose weight, even if you're doing the right thing. Your hair's not going to grow back if you're staring at your scalp and saying, I have such thin hair. You have to change that mindset. And that's where the faith comes in, because the other piece of this, and I heard this in a sermon the other day, get out of the way. It's not about us. It's about God. It's about us here serving God and doing the right thing. And we're focused on us. Yes, you need to self-care and do all of that, but it's not just about us. What is our purpose here? We are here to serve Him. We are here to serve humanity, our families, our friends. And so it gets you out of your own way when you have that mindset. And then you can focus on doing the right things, but not get so self-absorbed and so intertwined with your negative thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in that space of just hating my body. Like, why can't you push through? Why do you have to be in pain? Why do you have to be so tired? And I was really working against my body. And one of the scriptures that spoke to me during that 7 days in bed was 1 Corinthians 6. It was like, do you not know your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body. And I realized I was treating my body like a garbage can. I was literally just throwing in donuts and Mountain Dew and coffee and M&Ms from the nursing station, whatever I could to keep plowing through and doing and doing and doing. And I was not honoring my body, the one body that I get, and it was falling apart, and I was mad at it for reacting appropriately to me putting garbage in it. So it's like, you can't even be mad at it. So I love the reframe. And that is a huge part of my program, is teaching women future gazing with God. How do you see yourself through God's eyes? And what does that future of your health and your life look like for His glory? And it should all come together, because that is truly a joyful, content way to live, is like, if you are honoring Him and the body that He gave you, you are going to make different choices. And if you really get into His word, which I find to just be the living, nourishing word of the Bible, like, it will feed your soul. It will wake you up. It will tell you the truth. It will tell you, you need to turn around 80 degrees and go that way, or 190 degrees and go this way. You will get clarity, but you have to take the time to sit down and listen and read the word and figure out what that means for you. So when you marry the two, you start fasting and get that mental clarity, and then you start talking to God. It's powerful. Like, be ready for a transformation, because it is not like fasting on its own. When women just fast to lose weight, they get frustrated, they give up, they feel miserable. When you fast to honor God and strengthen that connection, like, the power is incredible to watch these women's transformations. They lose all the weight and they feel amazing and they love their bodies again, and they reverse their autoimmune conditions and their insulin resistance and all the stuff. But they feel so empowered and their sense of identity shifts into something so beautiful. Like they just turn into a whole new woman. And like, that's what I want for every woman out there, because it's not just about losing 10 pounds or getting your diabetes controlled. Like, let's stop acting like our bodies were created to just fall apart and come upon disease. That is not how they were created. Our bodies were created to thrive. As a surgeon, I can cut you open, cut through your skin, your fascia, your uterus. I can remove your organs, but I don't actually heal your body back together. I put the sutures there to make your skin touch, to make your muscles touch, but your body grows back together and does the healing. And so we have to start believing in our body's ability to heal again. If you cut your arm open, it will heal shut unless you keep pouring like dirt in it and try to get it infected. But we are created to be healthy. And so we have just been brainwashed into thinking that sickness is the standard, sickness is the norm. And I'm here to tell you that's crap. I'm getting younger and healthier as the years go on. I'm about to hit 50. Hallelujah. I hope I get to. And I feel better than I ever have.
And me as well. I'm 48 and I have more energy than I ever did as a teenager or in college. And I'm so grateful. And it gives me, oomph and motivation to keep going, because it's only going to get better as I get older. So
Yes.
we've talked about the connection with fasting and faith and how it can enhance your spiritual connection, your spiritual health, your mental clarity. Let's get into the healing benefits of fasting for the gut, for the hormones, and the other parts of, other things like disease.
Yeah. So, Hippocrates said to eat when you are sick is to feed your illness. He also said all disease begins in the gut. And it really is true, because we have this microbiome, this entire ecosystem that actually we have more foreign DNA from those bacteria in our body than human DNA. So I just want women to understand that you have an entire ecosystem running the show, and they are either making you healthy and feel amazing, or they are contributing to a lot of your problems, because they make your neurotransmitters, your feel-good brain chemicals. They help you absorb and make vitamins and minerals. They decide whether or not you're going to absorb that protein that you've been trying to increase lately, because that's the new fad, right? Like, your body, your gut needs to function properly in order for you to be healthy. And when I finally understood that my autoimmune conditions were coming from my gut problems, that changed everything. I was like, "Oh, I just need to heal my gut." Like, no one in conventional medicine told me this.
Mhm.
And so I find so much power in doing stool testing and really healing the gut. You got to get rid of the leaky gut, kill the bad stuff, support the good guys. 70% of our immune system is in our gut. So if you have an overactive immune system or a suppressed immune system, as we've seen a lot from the pandemic, a lot of people are really struggling and they keep getting sick. You have to look to your gut, because 70% of your immune response is happening in your gut. So fasting is the quickest way to calm down all that stuff going on in your gut, because if your immune system is angry and confused and overreactive and like creating food sensitivities to things because of the leaky gut and the parasites, if you stop eating, it allows your cells time to start to heal. And the cool thing is the cells inside the stomach and intestine, they turn over every 24 to 48 hours. So they will repair and regenerate. You just have to give them enough time, and then stop giving your body what's causing the leaky gut in the first place. So unfortunately, I've seen women, and that might have been part of your thing, is when you're fasting, your gut feels better because it's no longer like adding fuel to the fire, right? I know for me, for a long time, I felt better when I didn't eat. I didn't have depression. I didn't have fatigue and brain fog and all those things that I would have when I would eat. And it was because my immune system was angry and confused and I had chronic leaky gut. So once you heal all of that, then you can actually thrive and feel amazing. But fasting is a window into, oh, maybe some of this is being driven by my food and my gut. So I think that's really important for women to understand. And I talk about that in the book and, how these frankenfoods that the food industry has really created. I mean, we all want convenience, right? We want to eat on the go. We want to eat quickly. But that is not serving us. None of that stuff is really helping us. It's just contributing to disease. And so I also see a lot of women who have chronic adrenal dysfunction, like they're exhausted, right? They're being given this diagnosis of adrenal fatigue or adrenal dysfunction. And sometimes it's not necessarily their crazy lifestyle. They might not have a stressed external life, but internally they have stressors. Chronic gut infections are a stressor to the adrenal glands. Chronic heavy metal toxicity burden and all of those things that you talk about all the time, those are stressors to the adrenals, just like hating your boss and your job. And so if you don't figure out how to address all of these things, you can't break the vicious cycle. And for me, I just find that when women start fasting and they slow down and they can start to realize, is it my gut? Is it my job? Is it my relationships? Is it me not giving my soul what it needs? And you can start to discern and pick all of that apart, because otherwise it's really hard to know, honestly, and then you go and you add a thyroid condition on top of it, because your thyroid is literally just taking input from all of the systems and all the external environment that you're exposing it to, and it's reacting. It drives me crazy when conventional doctors say you just have a sluggish thyroid. That is not what's happening. Your thyroid is responding to the input it is receiving. It is either not getting what it needs, or it's being exposed to heavy metals or viruses, or it's got a chronic gut issue and it's angry. It's diverting resources. It's downregulating its production. Our organs don't just stop knowing how to work. That's not how the body functions, People are like, "Oh, my gallbladder didn't work anymore, so I had it taken out." Your gallbladder doesn't stop working. You are ignoring the symptoms of your gallbladder screaming at you saying, "Hey, stop putting so much toxins in your body. Hey, you have estrogen dominance. Please take care of that. Please love on your liver." But we don't know that. We're not taught that. So I lay it all out in the book, because women need to know what the heck is happening in their body. Otherwise, they can't take back control of their health?
Yeah, and when you are eating the standard American diet, you're so numb to what's going on in your body. Of course, you
Mhm.
don't know that your gallbladder's suffering or your thyroid's suffering or your adrenals. But when you start cleaning it out with whole foods, even carbs, I don't care. I'd rather you have a sweet potato than a processed ketogenic low carb
Yes,
protein bar, right?
please.
So let's eat whole food, get back to nature, incorporate the intermittent fasting. You're going to cleanse so that you're more sensitive and intuitive to what's going on in your body. And then you can become your own doctor. And I've taught my kids this, especially with what's going on with our getting advice that's exactly opposite of each other from two practitioners. I said to my daughter, I said, you need to become intuitive. We
Yeah.
need to pray and really listen to what we are hearing from your body and it is going to tell us. But if you're numbed up with processed foods and stuff, you're good luck figuring out what's going on in your body. Before we go, Tabatha, I want you to mention your Fast to Faith app and what that incorporates, because to do fasting alone is one thing, but to do it with a group of believers and faith involved. And I mean, it gives it a whole new meaning and purpose. And it has to be factually, statistically, a lot more successful than people trying to do it on their own.
Absolutely, and it's so fun, like, we just get excited for each other, and we're seeing these breakthroughs, like, we're meditating on scriptures every day. It literally takes 5 minutes, 7 minutes to meditate on a scripture and maybe journal and really hear what God has to say for you that day, and I just love seeing the breakthroughs that these women have, like, they're breaking strongholds that they've had for decades and, like, emotional eating issues and all the things that have been holding them back and keeping the weight on and keeping them in pain and all these things. So, I love my sisterhood of Fast to Faith women because it's a judgment-free zone, there's no competition. We are lifting each other up and just wanting the best for each other, and you shouldn't do life alone. That's not how we were created. We were created to be in community, and when you have other women cheering you on and, like, excited for you genuinely, that feels so good. Like, I can't even express how amazing the group is, and so I would invite everybody to come check it out. You can try it free for 7 days and just see what it feels like in there. You can see the entire program. I promise you, if fasting has failed you, if you feel like nervous to do it or it might not be right for you, I promise it's how your body was created to function. It's a lifestyle. That's how God created us. And so you can just shift everything by bringing this piece in. And I love that you mentioned the intuition part because I have a whole chapter on that. Chapter 3, find your lost intuition, because we used to hear that little voice inside of us and we learned how to ignore it. And we have to get back to listening to ourselves because it keeps us out of trouble. It keeps us healthy and thriving. So much good information in the book, in the app. And let me just say quickly, like, I believe in this so wholeheartedly, and I've just surrendered to God completely on this, that I have pivoted everything to Fast to Faith. My podcast is now called Fast to Faith. Everything, I'm rebranding my supplements. It's scary. It's a lot of work, but I'm feeling called to do that because that's what God's asking me to do. So I'm really excited to just reach more women and show them that it all lies within them. They just need to tap into it, right?
Absolutely. Well, I love this. And I'm assuming they can find the book everywhere books are sold.
Yes, yes. We
Wonderful.
have fasttofaith.com. You can go straight through there. That's the easiest way.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Tabatha. You truly are an inspiration. And we're so aligned. And it just reminds me that when there's question, just sit, just pray, the answers will come. We're not meant to know our life path. We're meant to know and see the next step and to
Yes.
strengthen those muscles and use these challenges as opportunities in our life. That truly is what it's all about. And until you succumb or surrender to that, you're going to be fighting yourself internally, and it's not worth it. You're not going to win the battle. So
Yeah.
thank you. And thanks
No.
everyone else for tuning in today. If you need my help with your health concerns, don't know where to start, feel free to reach out to me at sarabantahealth.com. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you and join my free group coaching on Telegram. There's no downside. I share daily tips and tools to improve your health, answer your questions. You'll be surrounded by a community of people who are on a similar path, supporting you. There's more information on the website, sarabantahealth.com. And of course, don't forget to follow me on social media at Accelerated Health Products. You can catch this podcast on over 100 platforms, including Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Just search Accelerated Health TV and Radio Show. And I'm on a mission to share my healing message with everyone who's ready to hear it. So help me with this goal. Share this podcast with a few of your friends who might benefit. Remember, I'm live every Monday and Tuesday and a bonus one on Thursdays. And you can use coupon WELCOME10 to get 10% off the site wide for your orders. Thanks again for joining us here and have a great week.